industry today, one thing that really comes in mind is analytics, video analytics. Because after you get HD, which we actually pioneered the thing, and we also went to H.264, and we came out with breaking through technology like corridor format, and you even have your light finder, which means that you could now see color in darkness. But then the next thing, if you take a look at the trend that's moving forward, and I believe, in fact, we already possess that kind of processing power. For analytics, you need a lot of processing power. And the processing power has to be in a very miniature form, because you can't have a camera that's really big, small, right? And yet you need a lot of processing power. And why analytics comes in is because in today's requirement, it's a kind of thing that is necessary. You want to be able to be informed. Like if you take a look at, I give you an example. You heard of the recent Boston Marathon carnage. Now, they are able to, what you call, got onto the evidence so quickly is because of what you call video analytics. They could see the suspect, what you call facial, through facial recognition, so positively that they went after the what you call the suspect very aggressively. And within a short period of time, and finally they found him hiding in the boat, if you read the story completely. It's all through thermal technology. Now, all these are analytics. Because if you take normal recording would be like you do it on a daily basis, whether on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, then you have to sift through all the recording, because it does not really gives you what you call the evidence that you really need on time right now. Because when something happens, time is the essence. You're fighting against time. So you need the evidence right now on time. And today's surveillance technology, like what we have today, is that you need to give the customer that kind of intelligence. So-called the customers want, look, I'm paying for this, right? I don't just want you give me all the hard disks and all the storage and I look through it myself, but something that's on the spot. I could look at this, whether it's 25 frames per second, 1 minute or 2 minutes, and quickly I can make a decision. So video analytics will be the next trend that's going forward.
Yeah, and to add to what Philip mentioned, a lot of intelligence is moving to the camera. Unlike the earlier architecture where the cameras used to be just the video generators, right? A lot of intelligence is moving to the camera, which means you need camera with very good processing capability, very good on the compression technology, and also the capability to store locally, right? Because we see a lot of, today I was reading in the newspaper where an ATM in Bangalore they hacked, and they simply did it by cutting the cable, right? When you have edge analytics, even if you cut the cable, the proof is still there. When you have the edge storage, which already stored in either an SD card or whatever, which is there in the camera, which cannot be pulled out. And even if somebody were to pull out, you can notify somebody that such a thing has already happened. So the analytics, the storage, and the processing capabilities definitely improving. And it's like what Philip mentioned, the capability of the camera to be much more better than a human eye is happening as we speak. The light finder technology, like what Philip mentioned. In darkness, we can give good color representation, which was not possible in earlier days, right? Now, evidence grade video is what we provide. For example, the shirt you're wearing, right? Is it white? Is it lavender? Is it violet? You need evidence grade video, right? Because if it is showing a different color in the representation, then you can simply prove that it's not the same person, because you can say I was wearing so-and-so shirt that day, but your color representation is something totally different. Like Philip mentioned, that's becoming more and more important as we speak. Axis is today providing all the technologies which is moving towards that direction. Okay, see, if you see a global perspective, right? Indian trend is not very different, right? The first and foremost thing is the adoption of the network video technology, right, as compared to the analog technology, right? if you look at the Indian trend as we speak, I would say roughly about 30% would be network video technology or IP technology, and 70% is still analog technology, right? But we've come a long way. Had you asked the same question a year ago, right, the percentage of IP would have been much lesser, and a year before was even lesser, which means the penetration is happening already, right? The second thing in this is, in spite of the IP adoption, it is increasing year on year. In 2 years from now, IP is going to overtake analog. It will be more than 50% globally, and I see a similar trend by probably a year later in India, about 2016. I see IP overtaking analog in terms of the total volume and shipments and revenues in 2016. So as we speak, it is happening because people are clearly understanding the benefits of network video technology, and the adoption is slowly happening. And there are market drivers for it, right? City surveillance, hospitality industry, critical infrastructure, transportation. You can't do with an analog technology, right? You need a common infrastructure, you need video analytics, you need good color representation, you need good frames per second to represent the video. All this only IP can provide. So customers are understanding the benefits, and we're seeing the deployment. Okay, I would go by IMS report, and I see the trend myself being in the market. If you look at the IMS 2012 report for India, clearly the high growth verticals, the city surveillance vertical. We are looking at retail as a vertical. Then we are looking at banking as a vertical, critical infrastructure as a vertical, and then all the others go under the government vertical, which is your oil and gas, etc. They all go under the government vertical, and the commercial sector. These are the 6 top sectors, I would say, will adopt IP technology much faster than the various other verticals which are already there. And in the next 3 to 5 years, we will see these would be the highest investors in terms of the network video technology. It is across the verticals which I mentioned, right? For example, if you talk about sports and leisure, residential, Axis may not be on the top line because still a lot of analog implementation. Even if it is IP, they're very price sensitive kind of market, and Axis cannot sell only on price. All the benefits that Philip spoke at the beginning of this session, it only comes at a price, because only when we put that kind of a chipset and the capability around the camera, it will be at a premium that comes to the customer. These customers understand the benefit. For a home segment, do somebody need that? The answer is no. But do home customers use Axis products? There are high-end residential projects we've got where they have put Axis cameras there. But is that a fast-growing vertical for us? Answer is no. Right? So the ones I mentioned, definitely look at Axis, and we are there in all the top projects that are happening in the country currently, and some future projects that we are currently. How we go to market is a very clear strategy we have, is our 2-tier distribution model, right? We will never sell anything directly to any end user ourselves, because we are not an SI. We are a good technology company, we are a good product company, we provide good products, good solutions, and we have good ecosystem partners with whom we partner, and then we bring the solution which our system integrators can take and sell to the end customers. However, as a product vendor, we will create the demand from the end users by educating them. Like, for example, why should a critical infrastructure solution use Axis? Why should a city surveillance project should go Axis, right? Why should an oil and gas sector use Axis? We have a lot of benefits by going the Axis way, which will educate the end customer in a segment and create the demand, right? Which our system integrators can take along with all the ecosystem partners, like Philip mentioned about the video management software, the analytics piece of it, the storage, the networking, the entire works that goes for video surveillance in a solution. They'll be able to take that and then sell it to the end customer, which meets the demand.
Talking about the VMS, right, video management surveillance system. You asked a very interesting question. You see, as far as Axis is concerned, traditionally we are very much on the camera because if you look back at even the camera, we possess that kind of technology know-how in how to build multi-protocol communications on the network. So TCP/IP is just one of the thing that really strike the gold mine today, because previously we were communicating, various other products in all sorts of protocol. Now, in that sense, we build up very strongly towards hardware, all right, which is the camera. Now, when you talk about software, we actually got no, what you call, I would say, serious ambition to go into VMS. For simple reason is because we have our model is also based on working with a lot of our ADP partners, our development partners who has various kinds of VMS that meet the enterprise, the mid-range or the lower end market. Now, but because end users, being end users, they would like to call only a single number for purchase or support for events or marketing or whatever it is. So in that sense, 7 or 8 years ago, we more, it's not because we want to do it, but more of fulfilling the wishes of the end user. We went into VMS development ourselves. So in other words, to answer your question, our VMS is of course our little brother business, not the main business. We just tag it along because customers would want what they call a total solution. So we provide not just the hardware but the software portion out of necessity.
ADP is one of the programs, right? So if you look at our channel partner in a program, it involves the whole ecosystem in a partners, right? One is obviously we have the channel partner in a program, right, which includes all our channels, the global channels, the local channels, and even a small installer, right? So that gets classified into platinum, gold, silver, and an authorized reseller, right? So that is for a channel partner to sign up, buy products from a distributor, and sell, right? So a one-off reseller, he may sell smaller systems along with our Axis Camera Companion for a sub-16 camera kind of installation. A very large integrator for a very complex solution, he will bundle everything with all the other solution and then sell it to the end customer. So that is the channel partner in a program. And then we have the ADP, which is the application development partner in a program, right? So we mentioned about intelligence in the camera. Now there's a lot of intelligence in the camera, there's a lot of intelligence in the application, and together with that becomes a solution for the customer. It could be, say for example, face recognition. It could be, for example, number plate recognition. It could be a simple thing like people counting or tripwire if somebody crosses a line, right? All these are applications, and we have very niche applications as well, which people envisage, which they can do in the camera, and application partners write various applications for this to happen. We have a partner down south in Trivandrum who has written his own application to provide solution for RTOs to record all the driving which they do when they issue the driving license, because people ask for why did I fail? So you show me the proof. If I failed, what did I do wrong, right? You have to show proof. So for this, he's written his own application along with our cameras, which meets the requirement. So like this, since ours is an open platform, application development partners can enroll into that program, write their applications, which become a solution for the end customer. So that is another piece of the program. Then we also have what we call as the A&D program, which we launched in India in March, right? All the consultants who recommend the solution to their end customers. Now we have a program called A&D program, or the consultant in a program, and they don't buy products from us, and they don't sell it to anybody, but they get all the tools, they get all the knowledge as to why they should recommend a particular solution to a particular end customer. So this program enables the consultants with all the tools that we provide, which they can take and then build a solution to the end customers. And then we have another program called the TPP program, which is the technology partner in a program, because our video surveillance solution does not work in isolation. We mentioned that it is a whole solution, right? There could be a cabling aspect, there could be a wireless aspect, there could be a networking aspect, there could be a storage aspect, there could be VMS, analytics, right? Entire works. Now for this, we need the technology partners who are part of the program, right? For example, some customers ask, which storage do you recommend, right? Which network switch should I buy? And Axis is known for our leadership, not just for the camera, but the entire network video knowledge that we have got. Because as a company, we have expertise in the networking area since the time we invented ourselves in '84. So that is another piece of the program where we liaison with all our technology partners, the storage vendors, the camera vendors, the cabling vendors, the the wireless vendors, right? So the wide area or the local area infrastructure. This entire program becomes the TPP program, and obviously we have the distributors who add value into the whole ecosystem chain by stocking our products, providing local billing, and some pre-sales support, well-equipped value-added distributors who add value into the whole ecosystem and not just product fulfillment house. So that entire thing forms the partner program for us, which includes the channels, the ADPs, the distributors, the consultants, and the technology partners. And the together piece actually goes as a solution to the end. Yes, if you really see how it is working, I see a convergence happening, because there are a lot of experts in IT who see a trend wherein video surveillance is a growing industry the next 3 to 5 years. They have expertise on the network piece of it. They're trying to build the expertise on the video surveillance aspect and then get into that area. Right? For them, it's easy to understand because they understand the IT field fairly well. They know about the switches, routers, cabling, etc., right? For them, it's not very complex, but they need to understand the video part of it, right? On the other side, if you see people who are the security, who come from the security world, right? It could be the physical security or it could be the small-time installers. Both definitely are jumping into the IT in a bandwagon because they realize that a network video solution cannot work in isolation on its own. Even though we have solutions for a small home segment, our camera itself can be the solution. You don't need external storage or whatever, right? You can fix a camera with an SD card and that becomes the solution, right? Whereas when it becomes slightly complex, you need the other elements in it. And from the physical security world, they're trying to understand the IP world and then provide solutions on the network video. I see that there's a lot of education that needs to be done because the IT field knows the IT fairly well and the network, the video aspect fairly, I would say, limited, and they need to acquire the knowledge on it, and vice versa on the security side. But I see that the convergence is happening and the knowledge building is happening, and we spend a lot of time, energy, effort, and our marketing dollars in educating the channel on how to complete the solution in a network video by integrating the IT aspect and the video aspect as one single Our strategy, that's one of the growing trend, video surveillance as a service. The US market, we already launched the service. So you want to buy video surveillance as a service, it's available in US. If you look at the Europe markets, in parts, we already launched it. In Asia, we are in the process of exploring the trend. It's too early, I would say, for India, even though we are in talks with few people on how to make it happen. Video surveillance as a service, according to me, it's not the technology issue, right? From a technology viewpoint, we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, we have the experience. It can be deployed in the country as we speak. The issue is the business model as to how to take it to the end customers. Who are the buyers? How much are they willing to pay? How are they going to be serviced? These are the challenge, and how many would adopt immediately, right? These are the challenges which are there in front of us, and as and when we find answers to this, I think it will be in a step-by-step approach where we evaluate that and then we look at how we can deploy the solution in the Asian market, right? So today as we speak, we are in the process of exploring, and I think it's a matter of time when the market would be ready to adopt video surveillance as a service. I would say it is 1 to 2 years away for adoption which is commercially viable, right? Today there are customers who ask for it, but if you ask them how much they're willing to pay, they don't know, right? So it comes back to us, right? But when somebody builds the solution, they ask for the ROI. When will I get the money back? When will I be profitable? So we are in the process of building the model where we can clearly go to somebody and say, hey, if you build this is where the market is, and you can break even in so many years, and then you can make profits after that, right? So that science is not still available fully, right? It's in the process of getting frozen, and as and when it freezes, I think the market will be ready. So if you ask me, a straight answer would be, I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I see a trend where it will become viable for it to take off.
But it's
I think from a knowledge perspective, people are not aware, right, how to market it, one. And the intelligence in terms of who would be the early adopters of the technology, right? So we know in broad sense, right, SMBs would adopt, and we know in broad that some residential in a segment, retail in a segment, banking, they all will adopt the technology. However, how much are they willing to pay? How many channels we can sell? That science is still not available, right? So it's a chicken and egg story, I would say. The reason, see in US, for example, which is a mature market for us, there it is mandatory and regulatory for any commercial establishment, even if I'm a small shop, to have surveillance in a camera. I can't even go to the police station and lodge a complaint if I don't have the footage. Not encouraged, right? Here it's in bits and pieces. It's not today a regulatory and mandatory stuff for anybody to put it. They're educating, right? Police is going and educating people to do it. In Karnataka, for example, all bars and restaurants, it's mandatory to put. But any establishment, is it ready to put? No, it's not. So what happens then? The adoption is not uniform across the country. So there, if I'm a small shop owner, why would I break my head of building the whole solution myself? And what will happen if the camera is not working when an incident happened? I didn't bother to check whether camera is working, is hanging, etc., right? And if an incident happens and I don't have the footage, I can't even go to the police station. So what do? I go to somebody, I say, I need this in a solution and I'm willing to pay you a monthly fee. And my SLA is it has to be up and running all the while, and I should be able to get the video whenever I need. So then it becomes an SLA based service. Then the expertise is pushed to somebody who can implement the solution, and it goes over the cloud and stores somewhere. So I think as regulations are passed, when it becomes mandatory, and SMBs also pick up, right? It is picking up as we speak. When they also pick up the deployment of this particular solution, it will become more viable for it to be commercially deployed. Video surveillance as a service. So my take is it is 2 to 3 years away, where I think the curve will go upwards, and then people will ask for surveillance as a service. They'll say so many channels, I'm willing to pay you so much. How much is a fee, right? For example, if I'm a large bank in the country, I'll say 1,000 ATMs. I don't want to take the headache of managing, because most ATMs are unmanned, or it could be unmanned, right? So I'll say so many channels for you, so many ATMs for you. You manage it. Here is my SLA. I need so much uptime. I'm willing to pay you a fee of so much per channel, right? When it gets to that stage, I think the curve starts going up. Budget. Lot of emphasis on surveillance, right? In fact, the Nirbhaya fund itself is for safety of women, which I think is very important aspect of the budget, which I see as, right. So like that, I see a lot of trends which may not be openly told in the budget, but I see a lot of emphasis on local regulation and authorities insisting on the food. Like for example, the Bangalore police, they said all bars and restaurants compulsory. Right? So it's not a law by government of Karnataka, but it's taken by the local regulatory authority, which is Bangalore police, right? So like that, I see eventually it will be a regulatory for any establishment, commercial establishment, even if it is a small shop, to invest and deploy in a video surveillance in a solution, because we are talking about safety for the citizens, for the own shop owner, and the community as such, right? So it will eventually happen, but I think it's a step-by-step approach. We may not be as mature as the US market in terms of the regulatory status, but I think we'll get there. And government definitely is one of the biggest investors in surveillance and monitoring. You talk about some of the big projects we've done, like highways. Like for example, they took a decision for all the high courts to be under surveillance, and we've done a lot of projects for high courts across the country. Then we speak about the critical infrastructure, which many of them are mandatory. Any archaeological site is mandatory to be under surveillance. So all those things are happening step by step, and it's just a matter of time, I would say, where it will become regulatory for anybody and everybody to have. Surveillance, obviously smart from a viewpoint of shift from analog to IP, which Axis has been pioneering since ages. And within IP, what is more smarter? That is a message that we want to take, because IP camera is equal to B IP camera, right? So there's a world and sea of difference, which is what we want to educate them, right? Be it in terms of the technology, the way it's built, the reliability factor, the support one gets behind it, that entire works. Two is in terms of the capabilities of the smarter cameras, right? We spoke about the analytics, the higher processing power, what it can deliver for the customer than just being a video generator, right? So that is the message that we want to take to the end customer, and the entire solution capability on what, when all the ecosystem partners come together, can make for a customer, right? So you could be a retail customer, you could be a oil and gas customer, you could be a banking customer. The message we want to take is, with our entire ecosystem partners, with the Axis camera, you get the smartest network video solution that meets and exceeds your needs. That's the message that we want to take. And this time, if you see, it's not just the resellers and system integrators whom we have called, you called the end user segment as well. And these are end users from various industry verticals who are looking at large scheme network video deployment in the next, I would say, 2 to 3 quarters. So we want to educate them to look at the smart IP video solution than just buying few cameras and few network gear, etc., to build up the solution and then really struggling to really get what they want out of the system.